Hey everyone, thank you for coming to today's webinar. Obviously, there's been so many changes in the world over the last 6 to 8 weeks, and as business owners, employees and organizations, we need to learn to adapt, and we need to look at, what do we do now in these uncertain times, and how can we adjust what we do to move forward today, but also for the future. When this goes away, which it will. So, give you a little introduction of who I am. My name is Sheldon Payne. I'm the owner of Newfound Marketing, which is a small digital marketing agency here in St. John's. We've got a team of 7, soon to be 8. And we help businesses and organizations develop programs for social media, inbound marketing, SEO, digital media, and we also design and develop websites for e-commerce and for B2B as well. I've been in this space now for over 15 years, and the amount of changes that's happened from when I started to today is simply amazing. So that's a little bit about who I am. Hopefully I'll get to know most of you over the course of the next few weeks, potentially, we'll see. So let's just kind of dig right in. The agenda for today, as we only have like a short period of time, why it's important right now to revisit your digital marketing strategy and what opportunities can. We'll run through an internal audit. We'll establish what are some of the quick wins that you can do, what your short-term plan could look like, and we'll end with what your long-term plan could look like as we kind of begin to move into getting back to our new normal. And then once we wrap up with our agenda, we'll come back and I'll take any questions and answer those questions to the best of my ability from there. So why is it important right now to focus on, our digital strategy? One thing that's, I think, really important that's come to mind is that as business owners and entrepreneurs and employees, opportunities like this, and I say opportunities, doesn't come up very often, where our businesses are kind of put on hold and we're able to step back, think about what we're doing, and also look for the opportunities to be able to potentially rebuild our business from where we are, from where we've been and where we need to go. And with respect to digital, right now we're faced with so many barriers that many of us have had for as long as I'm sure we can all remember, where we're able to meet people face to face. We're able to go to conferences and trade shows and networking events, and we're able to meet people on a regular basis. And people can come to our stores, and word of mouth exists. And unfortunately, at the moment, those face-to-face opportunities have disappeared, and we now need to begin to adapt, and we need to adjust what our new normal looks like and how we can kind of embrace this opportunity that's in front of us. And I do say embrace because things are changing, and right now is a really good opportunity, if you're not spending time focusing on your digital strategy, to start or to revisit what you're doing. Just to show you an example from an e-commerce perspective, this is some stats from Shopify, and they're noticing right now that online spending is currently on the rise. I think in the beginning, it was probably down, as you can kind of see here. And what's happened recently now is that, Shopify, they're seeing Black Friday level traffic on a daily basis. Everyone is home, everyone is shopping, and there's certain categories that are working for this and certain categories that are not working. Apparel, there's a spike in apparel, furniture, automotive, footwear, audio equipment, workout equipment, fitness, outdoor living. So there's lots of opportunities now for online spending. And, there's also an opportunity for us to get in front of those potential consumers for our business, depending on the nature of, if you're a B2B or if you're a B2C business. The other opportunity that exists is that a recent survey was done by John Kotzer of Singular of 250 CMOs. And in many cases, there's a lot of people who will think about, should we be pausing our activity right now? And in reality, 73% of CMOs that were in this survey are actually increasing their marketing and their ad spending right now. So, putting your foot on the brake and slowing down and not having a marketing plan at the moment can really set you back, as for the companies that are able to leverage digital right now, and the companies that are able to get ahead, they're going out and they're acquiring new clients, and they're going to be able to grow their social media pages, grow their website traffic, and they're going to continue to build and create more loyalty and more retention. So it's very important right now that we, take our time, revisit our strategy, and look in terms of which ways that we can increase our marketing activity. Some of the examples where, these CMOs are going to reinvest is they're going to reinvest in more advertising, content marketing. There's a huge opportunity right now to invest in content marketing, organic growth. And organic growth is an opportunity here for potentially for your website and the organic growth that could exist. And also if you're a video content producer, so if you're creating content on YouTube right now, there's lots of opportunity for organic growth. But what you can see also is that there's a small investment in social. And I think the reason for that, more importantly, is that there's lots of opportunities that you can do right now, what I would say would be at home, with that being your website. So I think the increase in social right now is probably a little bit lower on priority for most, as most organizations probably already have social media that's working and already in place. So as an organization, what is it that you can do to leverage this opportunity that's in front of us? And the first thing that I would recommend, if we look at it right now, we're about 5 to 6 weeks into the pandemic. So some of these things you may have done, and some of these things maybe you've taken the time to kind of know where you want to go and what you want to do. So the very first thing that you want to do is you want to do an internal audit. And with that, you want to first outline the roles and responsibilities. So what resources and skill sets do you have in-house? What resources and skill sets do you need? And do you need to outsource? And this is very important because one of the things that we have to consider is time. So there's going to be, if you're looking to hire new people, there's going to be the time that it's going to take to bring those people on board, which typically is around 90 days to get everyone on board. So is there an opportunity right now to outsource? And the advantage of outsourcing some of your marketing roles and responsibilities is that you can rely on a team. They're going to be able to get up to speed faster. And it doesn't mean that you need to keep them forever, but what it does mean is that it'll allow you to take advantage of what's happening right now. And the potential recommendation would be, if you've got an in-house, or you're looking to hire in-house at some point in the future, is start with an outsourced team perhaps, and then kind of use a hybrid approach and work together. And so you can kind of build your team for the future. Who in your organization right now is setting the strategy? What's the process that's involved in that strategy? And kind of really have that hammered down in terms of what your strategy and your focus is going to be as you move ahead. If you're not currently measuring at the moment what success means for you, it's time to look at what you're measuring and what success does look like, and do we need to put a plan in place, a measurement plan in place to know how the investment that we're going to make in our digital strategy and what kind of return that we're getting on that. If you have an existing team that's in-house, does that team require education and training? And now is a fantastic time to have your team to get some of those additional skills that they need and look for training opportunities that exist. Another important thing, depending on the size of your organization right now, is you probably have to begin to collaborate with other groups that are in your organization. So customer service could be super important for you right now. And if they're not part of your current social media practice or strategy, then can you bring them on board? Human resources are going to be important as well. If you are currently hiring, how can you make sure that that process, or that they're added to the team as well, and how they're going to be able to help you from a social media perspective, and help as well as what's happening with the education and training. It could be a good opportunity right now to bring your sales team and to speak more often and collaborate a lot more with the marketing team, just to make sure that there's an opportunity here to learn from each other, as there could be content that you'll probably need to create. So once you kind of know your roles and responsibilities, from a digital perspective, the first place that you want to have a look is that you want to have a look at your website. Right now, your website is probably one of your biggest assets. So some of the things that you'll want to do is to have a look, like, when is the last time that we updated our website? Does it need to be updated now? Is your website mobile friendly? And one observation that we've seen recently is that while being mobile friendly right now has changed a little bit, because there's more people that are staying home and they're using their desktop more. Once we begin to, some of these restrictions begin to go in place and to get back to a new normal, there's still going to be a lot of opportunity to make sure that people are going to be spending time on mobile. So is that website up to speed? Is it mobile friendly, right? So that's very easy to do. Just take out your phone, go on your website and try to use it. One thing that I'd probably suggest is that while you're at home, maybe give your phone, or ask someone else who's in the house to go ahead and get on your website and ask them, how can they navigate, and what are things that they can do, and does that navigation make sense, or is it easy to kind of find the information that they want on their phone? The next thing that you'll want to do, if you haven't already, is probably to look at updating your current message. What's the copy that you have currently on your page? Do you need to address how your business is currently operating? You need to let customers know that your business is still open. So those are all things that you want to do with respect to your message. The next thing that you'll want to do, we'll go back to the measurement. Just one second. Is that you want to have a look at, what are we measuring? What are our KPIs? And that's, what are your KPIs for your website? Is that to generate online sales? Is it to generate leads? Is it to generate prospects, phone calls, emails? What is it that you're currently measuring? If you have that in place, then that's fantastic. If you don't, highly recommend that you put a plan in place. The next thing you want to have a look at as well is, right now, is traffic going up for you, or is traffic going down? And depending on the nature of your business, there's certainly, as I mentioned earlier, some categories where traffic is going to be going up, and there's going to be other categories where traffic is going to be going down. If you are not currently looking at your Google Analytics, it's super important that you begin to do that to get a sense of that traffic is going up and down. There's many instances where we've taken on clients in our business, and Google Analytics wasn't installed. So probably one check that you might want to do today is to see if you have analytics installed. Can you get access to analytics and get an idea in terms of what is it that you need to be reviewing? Once you have it installed, are there goals that you need to put in place, and can you get those goals put in place so you can kind of begin to measure things that maybe you're not measuring today. Depending on who you are in your organization as well, you should also look at creating some dashboards. So perhaps there's some executive dashboards that you want to look at. Perhaps there's some content dashboards that you want to create as well. So you want to be able to answer questions like, how are people finding you right now? What pages are they visiting? How long are they staying on those pages? What are the demographics of the people who are visiting my website? Do they match the demographics of the people that we're targeting for our business? Another important thing that you'll want to do is that you'll want to check to see if you've got pixels installed. on your website. Traditionally, you want to make sure that you've got a pixel for Facebook, which will also include Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And when I say pixels, it's basically, it's going to be there so you can reach customers in the past. So an example would be like if you've been on Amazon and you went to buy a product and you didn't buy it, you will notice that if you're on Facebook or you're browsing the web, that you'll kind of be chased around the web for 14 to 28 days. And that's an opportunity that's going to come up that we'll talk about a little bit down the road. So now that you've got your measurement plan in place, the next thing that you'll want to look at, because we're looking at our home, we're looking at our website as being our biggest asset, and we want to do a quick review from an SEO perspective. So SEO stands for search engine optimization, and that's the results that you will get in Google without any paid advertising. So that's the free traffic that you get. So what you want to have a quick look at is, can you do a review of your on-page SEO? Do we have our title tags, our meta descriptions, and our images all optimized for search engines? So we'll begin to rank higher and higher in Google. You'll also want to have a look at your technical SEO. So these are going to be off-page things that make sure that your site is working very well for people who are visiting your site. So we talked about being mobile friendly. Is your site secure? So right now there's a big emphasis from Google and having your site secure. So if your site is not currently does not have currently an SSL or is not secure, then you may begin to see lower ranks in Google. Page speed is also another super important factor that you'll want to look at your site right now. With all this increased traffic that we're seeing, bandwidth for most of our homes, it's probably a little bit slower than what we're normal to. And so it's super important that if people are going to be visiting your website, that your website is loading as fast as possible. So things that may slow your site down could be the hosting that you currently have. So if you've got a cheap hosting plan, that may slow your site down from being a little bit faster. So maybe it's an opportunity here to move up to something to a different level of hosting that's going to maybe make your site a little bit faster. If your site is very image based, there's going to be a lot of opportunities here to reduce the size of those images so you can so your site can load a little bit faster. And lastly, you want to have a look at your external SEO. So these are all the things which basically is the reputation of your website. So if you're an older website or you've had your website for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, this is a great opportunity to have a look at all of the places that are currently pointing back to you. And if you're a new website, what you want to do is that you want to increase your domain authority. So you need to look for opportunities to be able to get more websites pointing back to you, and all of those pointing back opportunities is going to help you raise your website traffic and your ranking on Google just a little bit higher. The next thing that we want to look at once we've taken care of SEO is that we want to have a look at our social media. So in some cases, maybe you're doing social media yourself, or you're working with an agency or a consultant. You want to make sure that you have ownership of all your social channels. If you don't, that's super important that you have ownership of all your channels so you can monitor what's happening and what your customers are asking for. Questions that you want to begin to know or to investigate is, are you present on all channels, and do you need to be present on all channels? That's super important right now. Is there one or two channels maybe that you want to focus on? You obviously want to monitor all the channels, but you also want to make sure that are there some channels that don't need to be on right now than others? What's your current messaging? Are you scheduling the same content that you've had that you've been using over and over, or have you been updating your content now to reflect the current economic climate? One thing that's probably super important right now, and I've labeled it under social media, is Google My Business. So Google My Business does have the capability for you to make posts. And that's an area right now where if you don't have Google My Business, make sure that you get ownership of that so you have an opportunity to update what you can, and also to be able to post and make posts on your Google My Business to let your consumers know that you're open. you want to update your social profiles. That's probably going to be something that you want to do as well. You know, let people know that you're still open. Perhaps you want to change some of the cover photos and things that you have for your profiles at the moment. Maybe you want to change some of the bios as well in terms of maybe the times that you operate and those things. The next thing that you want to look at is you want to have a look at email marketing. And this is another huge opportunity right now. I think this is an opportunity where most people probably are not using email marketing on a consistent basis. One thing that you've probably seen for everyone in the first 1 to 2 weeks of the pandemic is that you were getting a lot of emails from organizations that you probably didn't realize that you were on their list. And there's probably going to be people that are on your list. So have you communicated with your customers in terms of like the changes that you're making in your business? You could make it, you know, is your business still open? Have you communicated that with them? How they can do business with you? Have you communicated that with them? How often are you currently emailing your existing customers? And email is important simply because when it comes to social, if you're doing those things, organic reach right now is probably at an all-time low with all the increased people that are using social. So your social posts are not, your organic social posts are not getting the same amount of attention that it's got in the past. And not everyone, you know, on your social profiles are seeing your activities, but email is a very important opportunity here where you can make sure that you're communicating with your existing customers and people that are on your list, and you can see how many people have opened and how many people haven't opened, and if they haven't opened, you can kind of resend them back that email as well. So super important that email become almost one of the focal points of your updated digital marketing strategy. The next thing you want to do is to review your content marketing. You know, review your current strategy. Do you have a strategy? Review your current inventory. What kind of blog content do you have? Do you have infographics? Do you have case studies? Do you have white papers? What inventory do you have, and what inventory do you need? Right, so what are some of the gaps? Like, what are some of the top of the funnel gaps that you may or may not have at the moment? What are some of the middle of the funnel gaps and some of the bottom of the funnel gaps that you have? And then you need to begin to make a plan in terms of how you're going to, you know, fill that gap. Who is going to create this content? What's the timeline? Who needs it? Who's going to be involved? And how we're going to get that out? The next thing we want to have a look at is paid media. Most people have a paid media budget, and in the beginning there was a lot of talk about actually, you know, pausing your paid media at the moment, which in reality what you want to do is maybe have a quick pause to see what you're spending, what the message is, but you want to make sure that you're investing in paid media at the moment. And what you want to do there is that maybe you need to update the copy, update the imagery that you're using. You know, if you've had imagery in the past of banner ads and Facebook ads, for example, where you've got crowds of people or you've got multiple people in a situation, maybe you want to make an update there and change some of those copy. So, but what you want to do is come back with a plan to create a paid media strategy, and we'll get to that shortly. Depending on where you are with your digital marketing strategy, right now is probably a really important time to, if you're kind of just getting started, or you've been doing digital but not 100% sure if, you know, this is paying off or not, is you definitely want to have a look at your Martech stack or your marketing technology stack. So right now you want to have a look at, you know, do you have the right tools in place, or do you need to invest in new tools? How much is that going to cost? And then what's going to be the time to get those tools in place, and how's that going to be up and running? So what I've got here is just a small list of some of the tools that you and your organization may want to revisit or to look into, depending on the different aspects of digital that you're currently doing. Again, this is only a very tiny list of all the tools that are available, and just some of the tools that I'd recommend for a small to mid-sized business. Depending on what you need, there's tons of other tools that you might want to incorporate. And lastly, from an internal perspective, I just want to talk about training. There's a number are free programs that exist currently that your team can certainly invest in. There's a Google Digital Garage where you can learn about Google Ads, display marketing, YouTube advertising, Google Analytics, and optimizing your website. All free, all through Google. Great opportunity right here to learn how to use those products for today and for tomorrow. The Facebook Blueprint, if you're doing any Facebook ads, the Facebook Blueprint is a program that allows you to to understand the ads and get a certification and to know some of the best practices that you want to put in place for Facebook ads and social and paid social. The HubSpot Academy, if you're looking at adding inbound marketing to your digital strategy, the HubSpot Academy is fantastic. It will let you, it will discuss some of the content marketing that we talked about and the different types of content that you want to create, how to implement, you know, a CRM system to your marketing and be able to combine what you're doing from a marketing perspective with your sales, what kind of content to create, how to optimize your site for SEO. And you can also, if you need to dig a little bit further, you can also look at SEMrush. So SEMrush is one of the tools that I mentioned earlier. It's an all-in-one marketing tool that you can use. You can do research and for SEO, you can do research for paid, you can do research for social, you can analyze what's happening on social all through SEMrush, and they've got a number of great training programs you can invest in. If you want to spend more time on some paid programs, locally, we've got the Gardner Center that offers a number of digital marketing solutions that are available. There's the Digital Marketing Institute, which has a number of courses at various levels. BrainStation is another organization that has some short training programs, 3 to 5 weeks. I think they've got programs you can have in place to kind of cover a number of areas in digital marketing. Digital Marketer has a number of great courses, a lot of focus on paid and SEO. And then, so those are all the training opportunities. One short-term thing that you might want to look into as well, you may want to look into a digital marketing coach. And this will be an opportunity where you could find a coach to work with you or a consultant to just probably provide you with a guide in terms of where you can go, what you can do. If the objective is to have your team to do the work and to implement the work, you want to know where the ship is going, who's going to steer it, and what is it that you need, and what's some of the places to kind of get you to that end destination. So after you've done your initial internal audit, the next thing we want to look at, or the way we want to kind of break things up, is let's look for some of the quick wins. Right, what are some of the things that you can do in probably a 7 to 14 day period that really can begin to maybe turn the needle, get people coming back to your website, making those sales, generating those leads, and updating your marketing. So again, the first place that we want to look at is we want to look at your website, right? So we need to update our website copy. So depending on the nature of your business, there should be an area that would have your response to the COVID-19 and your navigation. At this point in time, you probably want to just keep it in your navigation. It doesn't necessarily need to be front and center on your site. So have it in your navigation so people can find it and direct it. What you probably want to do on your homepage right now is to highlight how your brand can help. In some cases, we've helped clients make the transition from doing, you know, in-person and door-to-door sales to being able to make transactions online and be able to change the buying process from doing it in person to be able to do it online. So if that's something that you can do with your business, make sure that you take that opportunity and make that update. Look at the images that you currently have on your website. And is there an opportunity here to make some of the changes? Can you change for the season? Is there a way to, again, to avoid visuals of crowds? Probably just make some changes there. And one thing that you might want to look at as well is consider adding live chat to your website. This would be a good opportunity with everybody being home right now and your employees working remotely. It could be a really good opportunity to have times in place where people who are visiting your website, you can answer their questions through a live chat, as opposed to waiting for them to email you or call you. What a live chat does, it really allows your existing and future customers know that you're there and you can take care of their needs right away. And maybe you need to hand that off to a different member of your team, but it does provide a great opportunity for people to know that you can answer those questions right away and not have to wait for a response. From a social media perspective, some of the quick wins that you could do is obviously you can update your social media profiles. Again, avoid the visuals of crowds, make updates there. Let people know how your brand can help. For some of the social media platforms that exist, you can actually pin a post. So Facebook and Twitter are two examples where you can actually pin a post to the top of your page. So perhaps if you do have your response to COVID or how you're currently doing business, that's an opportunity for you right now to pin that to the top of your Facebook page. And then as time moves on and you begin to put in new offers, you might want to make an update to that page. One practice that I probably suggest right now is you certainly want to keep posting. What you're posting could be different than what you've posted in the past. What we'd recommend is looking at doing a kind of a week to week at the moment. Look at the content that you want to publish for the next week and stay very attuned and listen to what's happening, locally, regionally, nationally, internationally. So if there's posts that you need to take down, make sure that you're taking those posts down. You want to show people that you're available. So if people are making comments or asking questions, whether it's in the direct messages or they're responding to your post, please make sure that you're taking the opportunity to create those conversations and respond and be there for your customers so you can help them as much as possible. And then leverage those conversations for your potential website content and content marketing strategy. So there could be a lot of cues that people are going to be asking. And if you get the same frequently asked question over and over and over, is there an opportunity now to create that and put that content back on your website? The next thing from a quick win is you want to begin using your email again. I think this is a super important channel right now that a lot of organizations are not using. Are you emailing your existing customers? What are the changes to your business? What are there, depending on what the nature of your business is there an opportunity right now to help your customers, and how can you do that, and what are you doing right there? And with your potential customers, if you have an email list, if you have a newsletter, my recommendation right now will be to pause your newsletter and to just look at making emails again when you're making changes to your business or big updates that may have to come out from your organization. Other things that you might want to look at the moment is segmenting your list. Now is a great opportunity to have a look at your email list, and can you break that down into different buckets, right? Is there a bucket for people who have been maybe past customers? Is there an opportunity here to create a list for prospects? Is there an opportunity here to segment your list by geography, depending on the nature of your business? So if you're only serving a small portion of the market geographically, then can you segment that list and only email the people that kind of fit that criteria, and not email people that are kind of outside the geographic limits? You also want to take an opportunity right now to update your Google My Business, update your hours if you haven't already, add a post explaining how your business is changing. And keep in mind that when it comes to Google My Business, that your post will last for 7 days. So what we typically recommend is to make your post and let it sit there for 7 days. When that post expires, you can either post the same thing again, or maybe you want to make a small change and maybe post another update. But it's a super important place to make sure that you're using Google My Business right now, because a lot of people are still looking for your business. They want to know if you're open, how you're operating. So it's a really good opportunity to make sure that you post on your Google My Business right now. One thing to keep in mind with Google My Business is that you will see some people make recommendations to go and get more reviews for Google. At the moment, people can still go and make reviews, but you're not going to see them show up on your Google My Business. Google has kind of paused the reviews right now, so it could take a while before you begin to see these reviews pop up on your account. So that's it for the quick wins. The next thing we want to move into, once you've got the quick wins, so this would be your 10 to 14 days. Once you've done your internal audit, so this would be that would be your 10 to 14 day things that you could do. Next, we want to move into what your short-term plan looks like. So this would be your 30 to 60 day short-term plan and what that begins to look like. The first thing you want to do is to have a look at your analytics. What are the most visited pages on your website? And how long are people staying on that page? Is there content that we can add, new questions that we can answer? Is there an opportunity to move the information on these most visited pages to maybe put that information on your homepage so people can get that information right away? So that's one thing you want to do. You want to have a look at where the traffic is coming from. So if your traffic in the past was coming from paid, then maybe you want to make sure that you're continuing your paid. Continue to look at your organic traffic to get an idea of the time and energy that you're going to put into updating your SEO. Is that beginning to pay off? So that's a few things you want to do from an analytics perspective. Make sure you get your executive team involved from that perspective to have a look at what's happening. As I mentioned earlier, your website right now is probably one of your biggest assets. So what you want to do is that you want to look at leveraging that existing website traffic. So, is there a CRO or a conversion rate optimization plan that you can put in place? So with the existing traffic that you have, can you make some changes right now if the conversion rates are low? What are some of the things that you can implement with your existing website to work on creating more conversions? So can you change the landing page copy? Are there different calls to actions that you have? Can you add, can you potentially add video to some of your landing pages? Does that help you convert? Is there, changing to go from an email or a form? Can you take the form away and put in a phone number so people can call you faster? So you want to create a conversion rate optimization plan right now. There's a ton of tests that you can create, but you want to start small and begin creating some experiments for your page, because that's going to pay off not only for the short term, but also for the long term. From a social media perspective, short term, you want to make sure that you've got a plan in place to monitor and listen on a regular basis. What are people saying about you? What are people saying about your industry? So make sure that you're taking an opportunity to review your competitors, what's happening. Are there changes that are happening in your industry that people are talking about? Do you need to jump in, or do you just need to listen what's happening with existing customers? Try to stay positive. If you're going to be making posts on social, try to keep those posts as positive as possible. There's a lot of negativity that already exists on some social networks. So trying to stay positive to the best of your ability with the posts that you put out there would be greatly appreciated. Bringing people together. So is there an opportunity in the social posts that you're creating right now to bring people together virtually? Right? And I think we've seen a lot of examples locally, nationally, internationally, where people are coming together for causes and working together and collaborating more and more. And is that something that you're able to provide with your organization? Depending on the business that you're in, now it could be a great opportunity to educate your existing consumers as well as future consumers. So can you create that education process? And does that education need to be more visual? So do I need to create more graphic-based, instruction type of material that I can create for more education? Is there an opportunity for you to entertain with your account? Obviously not go too far off from what you currently have, but is there an opportunity to entertain? Is there an opportunity to get your team involved from an entertainment perspective? And now from a short-term perspective would also be a great opportunity to look at new channels. So if your focus has been Facebook and Twitter, right now could be a great time to have a look at Instagram. And I would highly recommend, if any company is not doing this, you need to have a look at LinkedIn right now. LinkedIn is a growing channel. The adoption rate is super high. And there's lots of opportunities right now for you and your organization to get involved on LinkedIn. If all the members of your team are not currently on LinkedIn, make sure that everyone's got their updated profiles, photos. Make sure that if they're, you're employed by your LinkedIn company page, use your LinkedIn company page if possible, and begin to grow that channel, especially if you're in the B2B market. Super important channel to invest in right now. From an SEO perspective, a short-term plan, again, update your on-page SEO. Use Google Search Console if you haven't already. If you're not using it right now, Google Search Console basically is a wealth of information that's telling you how your site is currently performing on Google. It's free to use. It provides you with a lot of information of how many people how often your site is showing up for impressions, the clicks that are happening, the top content that you have, what that current position is. And there's lots of opportunity using Google Search Console to be able to create or update content to be able to push you up the search rankings a little bit higher. The next thing you want to look at is your paid media. So you want to look at your Google Ads. One thing that I would probably encourage for every brand who's doing business right now is to bid on your brand name. So if you're not bidding on your brand name right now, you're missing out because your competitors are potentially going to be bidding on your brand name if they're not already. Bidding on your brand right now also allows you to control the message, to let people know that you are open for business and how you're going to perform that business. And if you do have offers that are available right now that people can take advantage of, bidding on your brand name is super important for that. So make sure that you kind of at least implement that from a paid perspective. Look for other opportunities as well. Depending on the nature of your business, maybe there's some areas where you've got to reduce budget, but maybe there's other areas where you can increase budget. If you don't have a remarketing campaign in place, now is a great time to put a remarketing campaign in place. You might want to consider changing some of the categories for remarketing. It's not going to matter too much, but create a remarketing campaign. Let people know with that educational content that you're going to be creating right now. Put that out in the remarketing campaign space. So people who have visited your website recently, let them know there's other content that maybe they can take advantage of. Look at paid social. Right now, from a paid social perspective, there's lots of competition in within the last couple of weeks, the cost has been low to invest in paid social. But I think what we will begin to see over the next couple of weeks, as people have had time now to revisit their strategy and what they're going to do, you're going to begin to see a new investment in paid social, and you're going to see those ad costs come back to where they've been in the past. Where you probably want to have a look right now is to look at remarketing to your warm audiences. So these are people who've been visiting your website, and maybe there's an opportunity there to provide them with coupons or offers, or also look at providing some of those different levels of content and lead magnets. So that could be guides, comparisons, case studies. Those are all opportunities that could exist right now for your warm audience. From a content marketing perspective, if you don't have a content marketing plan, now is definitely the time that you want to look at creating a strategy. You also want to revisit the strategies that you currently have. Some of the starting points would be to establish an editorial calendar. So what you want to have a look at is, what's the content gap that we have right now? What do we need to fill? Do we need to generate more traffic? And if that's the case, and that's that top of the funnel content. So some examples would be ebooks, doing SEO paid, looking at guides and blog posts and guest blog posts, articles, driving some of that top of the funnel traffic generation. Potentially, you want to look at some of that middle of the funnel. So people who are Probably they're a little further in deciding on making a decision. Product comparisons, case studies, advanced ebooks, white papers, videos, infographics are all some of that top of funnel content you can kind of begin to create. And then obviously the lead nurturing and retention, discounts and coupons are there opportunities right now for you to offer those things. Maybe different payment options might be available. Can you make some of those changes on your site? One opportunity that probably exists right now as well is with your team members. If you're creating a new content strategy, now is a great time to get other members of your team and other departments to contribute to creating content, and that's going to allow you to create content a lot faster than you have in the past. You also want to have a quick look at your marketing stack. Do you need to update it? Now is a good opportunity to review and do demos. A number of products and tools that I've seen recently are offering great discounts to get people on board. So now will be a good time to make sure that you can jump on those opportunities and to see what's happening and make those changes and get those things put in place. Lastly, from a short-term perspective, we want to look at training. Joining Facebook groups are great right now. There's a number of great Facebook groups that exist for marketing and sales. Good opportunity to learn from other people that are in your industry or in your community and learn from them as well, and begin to make a training plan for your team. If you haven't already, look at some of those training options that I recommended earlier, so some of the free options as well as some of the paid, and get your team trained, because you're going to need your team to be trained once this for what's happening now, but also what's coming in the future. From a long-term perspective, you really want to focus on your content calendar. You want to make sure that you're building on your content marketing. You want to look at exploring video marketing. Video marketing can be tough at the moment, but as we look in the long term, video consumption continues to be on the rise. So if what you can do is look at some of the content that maybe that's performing really well from your blog post, and can you change some of that content into video content? But I would certainly begin to think about what your video marketing is going to look like probably in 3 to 6 months from now. We also know that this is not, our existing state is not going to last forever. So you need to begin to think about what your rebound campaign looks like. You need to update your web copy for this. So you need to create copy for when things begin to change and how those changes are going to be in place for your business. And then as we get back to our normal, you're probably going to have to change the copy on your website again to let people know how you're doing business and how things have changed. When you're preparing your rebound campaign, you want to look at asset development. You know, how much time do you need? What's your special offer? What are your offers going to be? Who's going to create that content? What channels are you going to use? If it's paid media, are you going to continue to invest in Google Ads? Paid search and display will be super important for your rebound campaign. You also would want to look at YouTube. YouTube has a number of great video advertising opportunities, and that would be a great place to make sure that you leverage some of that video marketing that you want to do for YouTube. And some things can be done quite easily and quite cost effectively. You also want to make sure that you're revisiting your Facebook ads for, you know, what's going to be your plan? Who are you going to reach out to for Facebook and for Instagram? And then lastly, you want to look at your email marketing. If you haven't been using email marketing today and you want to begin to use it, you need to make email marketing a part of your ongoing marketing efforts. That is the one list that you own. Your reach on social, organic reach, is going to continue to decline as more people stay on the channel, as more people begin to adopt more marketing campaigns like this. Your free organic reach is going to be less and less. So your goal has to be to grow your own list, and that's going to be your email marketing. And then you want to make sure that you have an ongoing program. As you get a little bit more advanced, is there an opportunity to segment your audience and to create campaigns to segment those audience? And lastly, I just want to end off on tracking. Tracking is probably going to be one of the most important things that you do to make sure that you're going to be successful. You want to make sure that you're reviewing your data, potentially daily right now, weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, have regular updates, get those dashboards in place, get things ready so you know what's working and what's not working, and where you can pivot and readjust your marketing budget. So just to recap, now is a super important time to make sure that you're investing in your digital strategy or updating your digital strategy. If you look at us even as a province, we've been in our homes, we've had to stay in our homes now twice, and we're only 4 months into the year. There's talks there's talks about, if this happens again, what future outbreaks and parts of the pandemic can look like. So it's super important right now that you begin to work on what that strategy is going to look like for today and for the future, or for future pandemics, or for future crisis or times of uncertainty. You want to do that by looking internally, what's working. Once you've got your internal piece down, look at the quick wins, make a short-term plan, make a long-term plan, and then rinse and repeat. So that's it for me in terms of all the things that you can do.